and a big welcome back to the Wee Lordy channel. Excuse the fluffy hair, by the way. I've just been out in the garden all day. Today I'm going to be making a delicious summer pea soup recipe. I was actually cooking this recipe up a few days ago. It was one of the hottest days of the year. I was probably the only person in Scotland making soup that day. So it was one of the hottest days on record for Scotland. It was absolutely baking. Luckily it cooled down the next day and we did get to enjoy the soup then. It was really tasty. It's such a simple recipe. It is based on a few traditional Scottish recipes that I was reading the other day. I have added in a few things like onion and bacon into this recipe. I was originally going to be making a split pea and bacon Irish soup recipe, so you'll probably see that one coming in the winter, but I thought this was more fitting to the summer months. So I hope you enjoy making this. A couple of things: you could add croutons on the soup at the end, so just fry up some stale bread, some cubes of stale bread in some butter in your pan, pop it on the top of the soup. You could also add a few additional pieces of mint on the top there as well, and you could also garnish it with some fried chopped bacon on the top as well, quite similar to how I did the Irish potato soup recipe. And also, if you don't have garden peas, fresh garden peas, or you can't get fresh peas from the supermarket, feel free to use frozen peas. I actually had to use half frozen peas and half fresh in this recipe because I didn't quite have enough fresh peas. I've not really grown many peas in my garden this year. I did manage to get some additional fresh peas from the supermarket, so they are available in the UK and further afield, I'm sure, during the summer months. So hopefully you can get some fresh peas for this recipe. It is a little bit sweeter, I find, if you use fresh peas. If you're just using frozen, you could maybe add in a little extra pinch of sugar at the end of the recipe as well. So I hope you enjoy making this recipe. Let's get started on our delicious summer pea soup. So you might want to pause the video here at all of these lovely ingredients. As I mentioned before, you can use fresh or frozen peas. I use a combo of both. Now we're just going to start by adding our butter into our pan and our onions, and we're just going to soften our onions down a little bit. You can add the bacon in at this point if you want to as well. It's entirely up to you. I just added it in after the peas. It doesn't really matter which way you do it. We're now just adding in the peas. So I have a mixture of fresh and frozen peas. You can use all fresh, all frozen, or a mix of the two. I think it is a little bit sweeter if you use all fresh peas, but just wherever you can get your hands on. If you're out of season and you can't get fresh peas, just use frozen peas. The soup is so delicious. It doesn't really matter which you use. As I said, it is a little bit sweeter, but not much. So we're just going to add our bacon and our mint in there as well, and we're going to give that a good stir through. So we're just going to stir it through for a couple of minutes or so. And we're then going to add in our stock. So I just crumbled my vegetable stock cube in. You can mix it with your hot water if you want to. I just found it easier to do it this way. It's entirely up to you. And I'm just going to stir that through and add in the hot water as well. So I'm just adding in the water here, and we're then going to start simmering our soup. So we're simmering our soup for about 15 minutes. Just so that we cook down our peas and our bacon and that everything is cooked well. And we're just going to season with some salt and pepper here. So add in as much as you want to your own taste. We're going to stir that through. So once it all is nice and cooked, we're going to then ladle it into our blender. So I have taken about a little bit more than 3/4 of the soup. I've left a little bit because I like a little bit of texture in my soup, but you can blend it all if you want to as well. So you can kind of see how much I left here, just a wee bit in the bottom of the pan. We're then going to blend it through until it's completely smooth. You can blend the whole lot if you want to. It's up to you. We're then just going to add our blended soup back into our pan there. I just think if you add a little bit unblended, it just adds that nice bit of texture into the soup, and even the kids will eat it that way as well. My kids love creamy soups, and they'll even eat it with a few little peas in it as well. So you should have a consistency like this. Now we're going to take a couple of ladles out to keep aside and just cool down a little bit to add our egg yolks into, and we're going to pop our sugar into our soup now as well. If you think your soup is sweet enough with the fresh peas and you don't need the sugar, don't bother adding the sugar at this point. It's up to you. If you can taste your soup and then decide if you want to put the sugar in or not. It's just a teaspoon or a couple of pinches of sugar, so it's not a lot anyway. We're now just going to add our egg yolks into our bit of soup that we cooled down there. So we're just going to mix those into the soup. You could make some meringue with the egg white that's left over as well. Serve it up with some strawberries or raspberries at this time of year. So we're just going to give that a blend through. You can see my little toddler in the background there in her shorts and t-shirts. I actually made this soup on one of the hottest days in Scotland in the summer. I must have been the only one making soup then, seriously. So we're going to pop our egg yolk mixture into our soup now. So our soup is actually off the heat now. We've turned the heat off. It is still obviously boiling, but we're putting our egg yolks into our soup and we're mixing it through when the heat is off. So I hope that makes sense. So if you just give that a good whisk through until it's blended, and it should thicken up the soup nicely. We're going to add our cream in there as well. I added in approximately 200 mils of cream. You can add in a little bit more, a little bit less, depending on how creamy you like your soup. I find 200 mils was just perfect, and it gave the perfect texture as well, so or thickness of the soup. So go for 200 mils of cream. It's double cream as well if you want to have it similar to mine. I absolutely love this soup. It's such a delicious summer recipe, and we do get cold weather in Scotland in the summer as well. You might not be getting cold weather where you are in the summer. We have had hot weather as well, but it was just a really delicious summery soup to have. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope to share more summer recipes with you over the next few weeks. So I hope you enjoyed making your lovely pea soup. If you did like this video, please feel free to give it a big thumbs up. And if you subscribe and hit the little bell next to it, I'll see you guys again soon. I have loads of lovely recipes coming out. I also have my free traditional Scottish cookbook available over on my website as well. If you want to pick up a copy of that, it's angiemilne.com, and I'm also over on Instagram. Excuse the camera shake, I've got my little toddler at my feet here. I'm also over on Instagram, so feel free to pop over and say hello there as well. So take care, lots of love, bye bye.